The 2025 Valencian Motorcycle Grand Prix is done and dusted, and with it, the 2025 MotoGP season is done and dusted as well. And it's still unbelievable for the fact that Marc Marquez, despite missing the last 4 rounds and not really scoring in the last 5 rounds essentially because he crashed at Mandalika, and he's still very firmly leading the championship. That's just how far the margin was when he locked that title all the way back at Motegi a few months ago. And then, but again, without further ado, here are my 5 verdicts on the Valencian Grand Prix. There is no better way to end a season than to win the last 2 GPs, and no, I'm not counting rubbish sprints, just the main GP. Marco, he ended his first season on board Aprilia, on board the Noale factory, in the best way possible, in my opinion, best way possible, finishing inside the top 3 in the first time you try another bike. Throughout his season, since his rookie year in 2022, he's been just riding the Ducati, and this year he jumped onto the Aprilia and he immediately finished the season overall 3rd in the standings, and that's just amazing to say the least. Adaptability isn't something really as easy as it used to be in MotoGP. Like we saw the likes of Valentino moving from Honda to Yamaha and immediately being a world champion. Casey Stoner from Ducati to Honda, immediately being the world champion. Adaptability isn't that easy these days in MotoGP. So jumping from Ducati to Aprilia and immediately finishing 3rd in the final standings with 3 victories throughout the entire season, that is just amazing to say the least, coming from Bez. I personally believe still a lot more to come from Bez, the 27-year-old Italian. In 2026, I think he's going to really up his game again, especially if Aprilia managed to give him a bike that is going to unleash his full potential. But let's not forget that he's being teammate with Jorge Martin, and it might be creating a bit of a toxic environment if Martin doesn't crash the bike every now and then for next year, and these two can have a proper, let's say, title fight, but maybe for just in the top 3, inside the top 3 in the final standings. To face Jorge Martin isn't really an easy task. So if Aprilia managed to not just close but cut the gap entirely to match Ducati next year, it is going to be really interesting, especially that they have satellite teams as well. The satellite squad could very well be inside the mix almost every weekend next year. But bottom point is, Bezzecchi and Aprilia, they close 2025 on a high in the best way possible. Jubilation for the Aprilia squad indeed, as they lock the top 2 spot in the podiums. But no, this time it's not like a factory Aprilia 1-2. Instead, it is a factory satellite Aprilia 1-2, with Raul yet again shutting his critics, and that includes me, with a brilliant P2, a faster lap 2. He was menacingly shadowing Marco throughout the entire second half of the race, as he had to waste a bit of a time trying to overtake Alex Marquez in the first half, but nonetheless, he kept the gap less than a second in the last 10 laps until the checkered flag, and maybe his little brother's win in the Moto3 class just kind of gave him this extra boost. Well, I mean, who knows? And now I genuinely believe that Raul is capable of fighting for at the very least top 6s or top 8s for next season on a regular basis. So for those who didn't know, 2 years ago in Valencia, Diggia was actually fighting for the race win with none other than Pecco Bagnaia himself. Pecco back then, he was trying to seal his 2nd consecutive MotoGP title with a win. That is something that he said as his dream, as his long dream, because previously in his previous titles he locked the Moto2 title not with a win. It was a 3rd place at Sepang in 28, all the way back in 2018. Luca Marini won the race actually back then, and then his first MotoGP title in 2022, he was like, what, he crossed the finish line in 9th. He was having a bit of aero damage throughout the race, so he couldn't really fight for the podium. But to be able to lock, to seal the championship with a win, it's been a long dream for Pecco back then. In an interview after the race, that he stated that. So having fought Pecco and actually finished 2nd behind him, only just a few tenths behind Pecco, they crossed the finish line 1-2, and let's not forget that Diggia was riding the GP22 back then in 2023. He was riding a 1-year-old bike back then, essentially, but it was all taken away from him due to this, again, stupid tire pressure rule. It's just so stupid. It robs podium from I've lost count on how many riders have lost a podium due to this stupid tire rules. The penalty demoted him to P4, even outside of the podium. And that kind of promoted, I think it was either Brad or Johan. I think it was Brad who got promoted to P3 after Diggia's penalty. This whole backstory, it kind of makes the P3 that he achieved in today's race all the sweeter. And to top this achievement, he managed to continue Ducati's long podium run. It's a long podium streak that we can trace back all the way to 2021 Aragon, Pecco's first ever MotoGP win against Marc Marquez in his own backyard. That was the first of the long streak. I think it already reached like 88 or 89 consecutive podiums for the Ducati as a manufacturer. So yeah, Diggia really saved Ducati's race, I guess, this time around. It's not just a mere P3. Not only that his robbed podium 2 years ago got avenged, he also made Ducati's podium streak continuous all the way to next year, and we will have to see. I don't think it's quite impossible for next year for Ducati to next year kind of stop making this podium run, knowing that Marc will surely be fit for next year. Having won a special silver attire for this last race in the championship to celebrate his runner-up spot in the standings, Alex, yeah, he kind of failed to stand on the podium. I think it's almost always this special livery attire curse. Every time a rider wears this kind of attire, it's really rare for them to perform well. Like, the only thing that I can remember are three riders. Nicky Hayden at Indianapolis 2009, he was wearing this special Indianapolis. Indianapolis was his home race, of course, and he finished P3, his only podium in 2009. Casey Stoner in 2009 as well, at Phillip Island. He won the race actually. And then I think it was Jorge Lorenzo in 2000 and it was either 9 or 10 where he wore that astronaut suit. Attire. So that was the only time in my memory where a rider wears a special attire and actually perform well. And Alex this time he failed to stand on the podium to have a proper closure to a very solid season. We can't deny the fact that Alex really upped his game this season, aside from the fact that he was riding arguably the best bike on the grid, the GP24. The GP25 is still inferior a bit to the GP24, so Alex was riding essentially arguably the best bike on the grid. But in this last race, he was having what looked to be a tire deck problem, and yeah, he was at first in the first third of the race, he was menacingly behind Marco, trying to keep the gap below 1 second, and then he kind of dropped back, and by the checkered flag he was sick. But nonetheless, the expectation is quite high for Alex in 2026, knowing that he will be the satellite rider getting the factory support, meaning the GP26 for 2026. Oh my god, I just don't really want to talk about Pecco, man. Pecco, he just could not catch a break, man. This season, in these last 5 races, these last 5 events, where he completed a staggering 5 consecutive retirements. And this last one in Valencia was an absolute misfortune. It wasn't even his mistake, let's just say. He was ran wide onto the gravel by Johan Zarco, and he fell off the bike and retired eventually. 0 points. Another 0 points in the main event for the 5th consecutive time. And the P4 is lost too in the championship to add salt to injury. Not only that he lost P3 to Marco Bezzecchi by the end of the Portuguese round a week ago, now he lost P4 in the standings. He's now 5th overall by the end of, by the final classification. He lost it to Pedro, and Pedro he was indeed finished the race in P4, but that doesn't mean that Pedro only achieved this fourth overall just by luck or anything of some sort. He was consistently threatening the top 3 in the onboard at KTM almost every weekend this season, especially in the second half. He really upped his game. I think it's him pressuring and pushing KTM almost every weekend in the first half, and then KTM finally made a change in the second half, and we can see Pedro's statistics in the second half. It was really different compared to the first half. I think not really the first half, but the first third of the season, meaning the first 8 races essentially. So yeah, Pedro ended the 2025 fourth in the standings. A really impressive result, if I do say so myself, knowing that he only rides the KTM RC16. And we saw that the best KTM, the next best KTM, is Brad Binder in 11th. It was a really night and day, man. Brad not even a single podium this season. I'm not really sure about the rubbish sprint. I don't really care about sprints, so I don't really know if Brad actually managed a sprint podium at some point this season. But yeah, also the next best KTM after Brad was Enea Bastianini, only 1 podium. That really brilliant podium at Catalunya, where he kind of beat Pedro actually in that race. And then the worst KTM rider was actually Maverick, and even Maverick had a podium, a P2 in Qatar, before again being robbed after the penalty due to this tire pressure stupid rule. So yeah, Pedro is actually really, oh my god, I just can't really put into words just how amazed I am with Pedro. I mean, I wasn't really amongst those people who hyped Pedro when he came to MotoGP last year in 2024. I was asked in every comment section, what's so hype about the kid? I just don't understand what's being hype about this Pedro Acosta kid. But seeing his 2025 season, I kind of starting to root for him for 2026. I really want to see this kid at least win a race next year. Just one race is enough for me, I think. And yeah, I think that's it that I can talk about for this Valencian GP. To sum it up, 2025 has been a very solid season. I think it's a season full of surprises, full of emotion, drama, full of jaw-dropping moments, I guess, especially Pecco's 5 consecutive retirements. It is really jaw-dropping. But yeah, knowing that the season is already over, I am again planning to create a video, a ranking video for the MotoGP riders, just as the one that I made for the World Superbike. So expect that to come in, I think, a month time. I think I'm not really sure if I can finish the ranking videos in anytime soon. It takes a long time to make. So yeah, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below and like and subscribe for more, and until we meet again,